Hey, Gam.
What?
Have you ever looked at the sun?
Oh, God, it's blinding. Oh, God, I can't see anymore. Why the fuck did you tell me to do that, dear? Oh, God.
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh.
I feel like making more suns.
If only there were people who could do that, like sun makers.
Wow.
Oh my God, that's the name of the episode, dear.
Holy shit. Nailed it.
Season 15, Serial 4,
Captain
episode
Crunch.
number 95 overall.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Sun Makers.
Yeah.
4-part episode written by Robert Holmes, directed by Pennant Roberts, and produced by Graham Williams.
And made by Spite.
What happens in it? Made by Spite. Made by Spite.
Yes. So, okay, I'm going to be honest. The naming conventions I came up with this time around were... So, a person in a hat is nervous, and then a person in a hole is like, hi.
Wow.
Your dad's death was at 1 a.m., and it was a really good death. Here's how much he weighed. And he's like, okay, here, have my death taxes. And he's like, no, go pay them at the gatherer's office. So we see Jafar the Pope go, okay, come in. And the hat walks in nervously, and he's like, here's the death taxes. And he's like, no, don't put them on my mahogany table I have, because trees don't exist here on Pluto. Supposedly, the death cost was way more than it should have been, because the death tax was raised. So how are they going to settle the debt? And Space Jafar is like, I'll let you work triple shifts and take Q capsules so that you don't have to sleep. Praise Amazon. And then K9 and Leela are playing the Doctor in chess. And obviously the Doctor is confused how he's in check because K9 is winning. TARDIS is doing a thing, but who cares other than Leela? And the Doctor's like, wait, no, I do care. Argument bullshit. Oh, we're on Pluto. Leela fucking kicks K9, so fuck Leela. I hate the show. Worst companion.
Hard.
It's not the point. Pluto isn't supposed to have life or be like Earth, but it is, and that's weird. Then the Hat Man comes onto the roof with them, and the Doctor ignores Leela trying to point it out. And he fucking tries to commit suicide. Straight up. And then the Doctor suddenly cares, and wow, tell me about you. And he's like, you can't pay your taxes? Let me give you a jelly baby. And they pull him away from the edge. Jafar Pope is looking at some things, and Lady comes in. And there was an illegal landing of the TARDIS, so we're going to fine them 5 quadrillion taxes. Suicide Hat has now explained to the Doctor and Leela what's going on, but something is coming, so we guess we run from it. How are there supposed to be multiple suns, by the way? There's like 6 of them. Lady and Jafar Pope find the TARDIS. Everyone else just keeps escaping. Jafar Pope thinks someone is going to steal their money, and this dude was in the correction center for 3 years, and he's very scary, and that's who he thinks it is. Jafar Pope thinks there's a full plan to fuck the company, and Lady's like, gasp. But he has a plan, so it's okay.
Oh.
Suicide Hat is going to go join the others as tax criminals. Wow.
Suicide Hat.
Yeah. And the Doctor's like, I'm going to come with you. And then apparently also there's no night on this planet because there's 6 suns. And on Pluto, it was colonized. Now, when I see darkness, it scares me. Because I don't know what darkness is. There's no such thing as darkness. So.
There is no darkness.
Mm-hmm. But suddenly there's all the tax evaders, including Yoshi. And K9 has decided to leave the TARDIS, but is seen on video by Jafar Pope. There's no life on the other planets here now, supposedly, and the Doctor gets threatened with a whip. They openly mention they don't want to fight, and the Doctor's like, we're just here to help this dude because, and he's like, praise the taxes, and they go, fuck taxes, steal and kill. And I'm like, yeah. And then Leela threatens a lady, and she's like, I guess you're useful, so you both stay here. Jafar is continuing to watch K9, who's tracking the Doctor. Downstairs, they fake 1,000, Talbars, which is the money currency, whatever. The Doctor needs to fake being a person here to go and turn them in for the money. But also, if you're not back in time, we kill Leela. So now they leave, and there's K9, and now all of them are on camera. So quick, follow them maybe. but now we've lost them. So Pope Jafar thinks they're smuggling
No.
arms, actually, and doing an uprising. And the
Switch
doctor...
copies of arms?
Yes.
Ooh.
The amiibo one. Yes.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. The doctor is doing his thing with the money and the thing, but then the door closes and he's trapped and he's gassed and he's dead. Yeah, that's it.
Well, as he should be.
Yep.
So, this story, when it comes down to it, is not a story about tax. There's a surface layer of, like, petty gripes and in-jokes prompted by Robert Holmes's own tax problems after season 14, or with him writing some scripts, but also editing some, leading to a lot of tax problems for him. Which is where you get a whole heap of jokes, like the sort of taxation group at the time in the UK was called Inland Revenue, which is where you lead to sort of oh God, what's it called? I just had it and then I lost it. You have the group that's followed around by what's he called again? The Collector. That's right.
Yep.
Wow, my memory is fucking awful today. In a retinue. So you have Inland Revenue and in a retinue. Don't know how I forgot that, just as I remembered it. This was basically a period which saw the start of the debate over what we now call the work-life balance. So Megropolis 1 is a society of people all running to stand still. Inflation had reached about 24% around this time in the UK. Everyone, if they wished to maintain a standard of living, was basically forced to do more work to earn the same amount of money. In many ways, this story is kind of old-fashioned for its time, in treating militant workers as idealists, revolutionaries, and sympathetic everyman figures, rather than the evil bolshies imperiling the British way of life that, you know, it tends to be a lot more of in the 80s and 90s. To find any films with the same point of view, you'd have to look back at the 40s and 50s, with the establishment of the welfare state in the United Kingdom. By the 70s, virtually all union members shown on TV or in cinema were portrayed as selfish, lazy, and stubborn. Sort of, you know, this idea that the unions weren't going to actually help you. They were just fucking lazy assholes who did nothing but just caused a fuss, even though, you know, that's not what unions are.
Yeah.
Aside from the obvious political points, what's most striking about The Sunmakers is that it's set in a world where revolution will be televised. The Doctor's overthrown despots and potential dictatorships before, but usually by fiddling with mad computers or guiding alien war fleets into the heart of a sun. The Reign of Terror is one of the few stories to be set against the backdrop of an actual revolution, and takes the schoolroom history book approach and assumes that these big upheavals are the result of big historical figures making big decisions. If they aren't solved by blowing up the threat, then they're solved by interfering in the affairs of the ruling elite. But here, one of the first things the Doctor does, which we'll get to, is he broadcasts news of the imminent revolution over the TV. This is one of the few Doctor Who stories which even acknowledges the existence and importance of propaganda. Like, the closest thing we've seen to this, like, sort of the Doctor's Join the Revolution broadcast, is the climax of the Daleks' invasion of Earth, in which the TARDIS crew caused the Robo-Men to revolt against the Daleks. But there it was a case of giving orders to machine people, and here there's a sense of actual, you know, the power of media in politics, sort of thing. The huge explosion of TV news coverage between the early 60s and late 70s must at least account for some of this. The increasing awareness of television was part of the process, and not just a way of seeing close-ups of the men in charge. Original draft of the story, preceding Holmes's audit, because remember he got audited, was a reworking of many ideas found in a separate story called The Space Merchants. By this, the advertisers rule the world, and the opposition are those who think the planet's resources shouldn't be squandered in continuous production fueled by heightened demand. The dystopian, satirical uses of euphemism and the media are present and accounted for in Holmes' script, and as writer/literary critic Kingsley Amis had proclaimed The Space Merchants to be the best sci-fi novel in the world, ever. Many people had read it. I've never heard of it. It sounds good, though. The notion of continuous sunlight to remove, quote, wasteful sleep was partially derived from Adrian Berry's bafflingly popular pop science book, The Iron Sun. It's not an unfamiliar idea for anyone who's been near the poles or has read basic sci-fi primers, including Isaac Asimov's Nightfall. Hinchcliffe had. Holmes almost definitely would have. Yet the basic source text isn't in the script. The director took iconography from Fritz Lang's 1926 blockbuster Metropolis, and the word Megropolis may be a teeny hint that Holmes was playing along with the idea. And throughout this, the director and the writer kinda went back and forth on certain things, to a point where it kind of obscures a few things, but I'll talk about it a bit later. The cliffhanger in episode 3 is very similar to one in which Lang's robot Maria is actually made in, whilst dials are held steady, just as in the movie. As ever, reoccurring themes insist on making themselves felt in Holmes's work. Petty bureaucracy in the form of villainy is obvious, but also the bureaucracy is sadistic. Like, the collector relishes the anguish and oppression that he causes. For more office-bound kinkiness of this sort of thing, you'd have to look at, like, Carnival of Monsters, where, like, the guys in charge sort of have, like, a weird, like, perversion towards being in control like that. This sort of... many things as well, like, the collector sucking up, using many different words like sagacity, is particularly noticeable. And it will be turning up again in season 23, which is a great season. But yeah, that's where a lot of this comes from. It's sort of a joke that this story basically just got rewritten when Robert Holmes got audited, and he was so fucking pissed off with the tax agency that he just, wrote a story about it.
Yeah.
What happens in part 2, dear?
Well, the medical team escorts the doctor's body away. The underground fuckers are like, he's taking too long, so she's probably gonna die. A man who can read with his nose, who is later to be called Lollipop, because he just...
Lollipop?
He's visited by Jafar Pope, and he sounds like he took in way too much helium, which is why I called him Lollipop, because it reminded me of Wizard of Oz, the Lollipop Guild. That's it. That's the whole thing. It isn't. He's informed about the armed rebellion plot, and he's like, and the doctor and some other person are in the correction center. He's been there for about an hour, so Leela's probably dead. Although everyone kind of sucks at fighting and also is scared of Leela. So now we have a fight up until Suicide Hat shows up and explains that the doctor's been caught and is in the correction center and will probably die. The other dude basically was jailed for being curious and taking drugs and feeling better. Also, the pills and stuff that they've been giving everybody is for giving everybody anxiety and stuff and stealing their freedom. Lollipop is continued to be talked to by Jafar about profits and needing more protection, so here's some dudes go and grease the anxiety pills. And now, bitch, go out my fucking door, leave, I don't want to see you. Leela wants to go help the doctor, no one wants to help the doctor. Suicide Hat, however, wants to help the doctor, goes with her. Meanwhile, the doctor is informed how the pills are given to everyone, and they're going to die or get a memory wipe or whatever, but the doctor messed with some stuff, so the guy gets fried from the electronics he was messing with. Jafar is going to release the doctor and question him. K9 has found Leela and Suicide Hat, and his batteries are at full charge so he can murder people now. The doctor's thing that he broke is being fixed, finally, honestly. And he's like, oh, good. And then he's released suddenly. But only the doctor's allowed to go. So he leaves his friend some jelly babies. K9 instantly notices that chemicals of anxiety are in the air, which makes Leela confident because she just kind of is like over it. The doctor is brought in and they just kind of chat casually with Jafar. Leela and Suicide Hat are sneaking around. K9 is sent to knock out a guard. Doctor is fed a leaf and has mentioned how Earth was so amazing and full of plants. And they continue to talk about stuff, and he gives them a jelly baby and leaves. And of course, he's now being tracked too. Leela and Suicide Hat are still looking for the doctor. Leela comes in, saves Curious Guy from capture, and they all run off together. While Doctor is heading down into the subway, the knocked out guard from earlier wakes up and sounds off an alarm. Doctor is shown back up and hands over all the money, but learns Leela is now gone. Leah and everyone are running through a hallway and get caught. Oh no, they're dead.
Finally.
I
mean, you hate Leela, don't you?
Yes, at this point.
Part of the location work, as had been mentioned, because, part of it obviously is location work. They didn't build a fucking factory set. I want you to guess what type of factory it was, dear.
Paperclip.
No. You get 2 more guesses.
Rune.
Broom?
Rune factory.
No, it wasn't a video game.
It's a factory of runes. What? Anyway.
One more guess.
Paper.
Tobacco factory.
Oh. Kind of a paper.
When instructing the actors on how to look browbeaten and doped on PCM, the anxiety-inducing chemical, the director pointed out the way that the actual company's employees wandered around the actual factory. He was like, see how they're looking? See how depressed they look? That's how you're meant to look.
Wow.
Yeah. The other main location was Camden Town Deep Tube Shelter. The setting for the first publicity phone call with K9, actually, because this episode was made before K9's episode. The press were particularly welcome, as the cast and crew had inadvertently been locked in overnight. They accidentally got locked in, so thank God the press came. Also, the pajama suits of the extras were color-coded to give a sense of different departments having different uniforms. The company's sun badge was an only remnant of an early plan to give the story an Aztec look, suggesting the blood sacrifices were needed to keep the sun going, which you can kind of see in like the design work of both the environments and the people. Yeah. Well, what happens in the next part, dear?
Well, they're ready to die now because that's just better than being captured, but K9 attacks everyone and they're safe. Some other armed boys with guns see that something is going totally right down there, so they remove the barrier because they just expect that everything's going well. They removed Barry. Yes. Leela isn't allowed to drive because she sucks at it and she's a woman. Now that the barricade is down, they just drive past and have a gunfight. Leela gets hit and just falls off the fucking thing, and they all just leave her. The underground is threatening the Doctor more because he's a total fucking spy, supposedly. The Doctor's like, bitch, you have no fucking power over me. Suicide Hat shows up and saves the day. Leela is now in the correction center. The Doctor is going to lead a revolution, so here's the plan. Do all this stuff. Unplug their Ethernet cables. Blah, blah, blah. Letha is brought to Lollipop and asked questions about what and who she is. Leela. She's brought to the correct Lollipop and is asked questions about who and what she is. And she just tells them fucking everything because, sure, Lollipop learns about Time Lords and is like, ooh. And the Doctor is learning about the company, but no one really knows what the company fucking does. Jafar is summoned to Lollipop to explain what the fuck is going on. Lollipop tells off Jafar for being a fucking idiot. Now we have a reward for catching our information about the Doctor, but Jafar has to pay out of pocket for it. Leela is going to be killed publicly. The Doctor is doing something, and then they just, walk away. Leela is hung off of a wall in a super ultra mega containment, and then apparently when people are killed here, they are steamed to death like a small ham.
Ooh, steamed like a small some steamed hams.
Mm-hmm. The Doctor has been...
I thought it was a Utica expression.
No, it's actually from Pluto.
Oh, so Seymour Skinner is from Pluto.
Mm-hmm. The Doctor's been found, and Jafar is like, oh God, no, let me do it. I don't want to pay. I don't want to pay people for catching him. And then right as the bulletin about the Doctor goes out, the Doctor's like, yo, let's rebel. Woo! Shots!
Hey, yo, rebellion.
And then a small signal going about where the Doctor is, by the way, is fake. And the Doctor is told about Leela K9 is small and has guns, so we're going to use them in order to save Leela from her steaming. Lollipop is upset they haven't found the doctor yet. K9 has done the thing, and the doctor goes into the vent and has like 2 minutes to save Leela, and Lollipop is like, wow, I can't wait to hear her die, and yeah.
I cannot wait to hear her die, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fucking great, I'll tell ya. So, I don't know if you noticed here, but some of the textures on the walls are actually just enlarged photographs of a die of an AMD microprocessor. And you can actually see the AMD logo large and visible in some of them.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, some of them are just microprocessor photos, just enlarged to be massive. Which I thought was pretty fucking funny. Another thing as well, supposedly, the director has said that the positions in the chess match between the Doctor and K9 were based on the endgame of a match between Bobby Fischer and Gary Kasparov. However, those two players never played each other, so I have no fucking clue what the director is on about. Like, I think he was just thinking of someone else, but like, I don't know. Bit odd that is. The exchange between Mandrell and the Doctor, Mandrell being... Fuck, what'd you call him? Jafar?
Yeah,
Jafar.
Jafar Pope.
Wait, no, that's not Jafar Pope. Mandrell... Fuck, see, why can't you just call them what their actual names are? Because it's so confusing. Mandrell, the leader of the Resistance, goes, like, what have we got to lose? And the Doctor goes, only your claims... is kind of a riff on the common paraphrase of the final lines of the Communist Manifesto by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. You never named him?
No, I just said that they're like
just called him the guy?
I just basically said the underground people and like used the terms they threatened them and etc. It's fine.
The final lines being, what have you got to lose? Only your chains. The official English translation of the line is, the proletariats have nothing to lose but their chains. But, you know, rough translations and all. All that matters in the end is that, you know, we do seize the means of production. Also, in this episode, it kind of, initially, Leela was meant to be killed in this. And the scene in which Leela walks into the vault and gets sort of stunned, the part of episode 4, was actually meant to be her death scene. She was meant to be completely killed then. But they decided against it because, you know, Leela didn't want to leave. Plus also, they felt that it would be wrong for the Doctor to be mourning in the middle of an episode. Specifically, Tom Baker's Doctor to be mourning like that. Mm-hmm. They're like, let's not kill her. We can think of someone else whenever she does want to leave. Also, the joke in which the Doctor accidentally hypnotizes Leela, that was completely improvised by the two of them on the set. They just thought it'd be funny. Also, some homegrown trivia. In Australia, in 1979, a small edit was made to Part 1 by the Australian Film Censorship Board, now called the Australian Classification Board, to remove the "stuff the company" insult delivered by Mandrell in response to Cordo's rather nervous praise the company. Strangely, a repeat transmission of the story in 1979 was in uncut form, so the line was still intact, as well as subsequent screenings also had it. It was like they cut it once, but then it like just appeared again, which is fucking weird. But oh well. The director also originally intended for the giant credit cards that featured in the story to resemble specific banks. But it was vetoed by the producer, who said that it would just be free publicity to the bank, and they were like, let's not do that. Also, final little bit. Leela and the Doctor are identified as terrorists, which is funny because Leela's character is partially based on, technically, a Palestinian revolutionary who was often classed as a terrorist. So, make of that what you will.
Yeah.
What happens in the final part, dear?
Well, Lollipop is upset that there was a really loud noise that made it sound like somebody said the word doctor, and also he can't hear her death so easily, so Jafar is gonna go deal with it. The Doctor is meanwhile freeing Leela. Jafar also heard someone say doctor, so Lollipop is like, investigate! wow, the Doctor and Leela get out, but Lollipop now knows someone called in on the radio, but we should go to that room where we can announce to the world that the rebellion was a success so that everybody gets in on it. We call over K9. He's told to help them as best he can while everybody else leaves. Well, now everyone is refusing to work, and so they're going to have to do unpaid overtime. Everyone, oh no, It isn't going well. Not if we don't have workers that'll pay us. Everyone is excited about revolution because it's a strike. Wowee. Leela stopped from killing someone, and the Doctor says, go to sleep, and he does. Leela's like, look at that lollipop man sat here. How do you think he would have made an announcement? And she was like this, and he was like, oh. Jafar is basically in trouble, but then he learns everyone is going upstairs to see the sun. No, God. That's not right. Lollipop needs to get back
the sun,
to... Oh, God, the sun. And then he needs to get back to where he can control everything by using literal bodies as bodyguards. Leela finds a thing. It's a safe, but it's empty. That's weird. But then when she tries to go inside, she's basically killed or knocked out. We don't really know. The message goes out that the rebellion is happening, and the lady's like, I'll join you. Yes, totally, yes. Suicide Hat and them are like, let's go help and leave K9 here. Jafar is on the roof, and then he literally just gets thrown off the fucking building. And it's pretty good, actually. Whee! And Lollipop shows back up to his room, and the Doctor's like, hey, let's have a chat. And the Doctor wants to know about the company, and the company is made from a different species. And the Doctor wants to know more and more, and he's like, something, they're basically mushrooms. I don't know. And they apparently controlled most of humanity because Earth was falling apart, so they made a deal to bring everybody to Mars, but then they'd have to pay them back, and then after that, you're going to have to go to Pluto to pay us back, and so on and so forth. And the suns here are going to die eventually, as well as the humans with it, so it's fine. Just kind of sucks we're losing our profit, blah, blah, blah. Doctor, of course, accidentally says, wake up, and that guard wakes up, and now the Doctor's at gunpoint. But now we find out that there's a plan B, that if we release the sprinklers that have poison in them, they're going to kill everyone but Lollipop Squid, because everybody here breathes air but him. Leela throws a knife at the guard, and they're saved, because she also closes the door on Lollipop's fucking arm. The Revolution comes in, points a gun at him, and he just gets flushed down the toilet. He was sitting on a toilet. His actual form apparently was...
He was sitting on the toilet.
Inside his chair, and they just kind of plug up the chair, and they're like, alright, well, that's done. Alright, time to go back to Earth and fix it up, eh? And the Doctor basically is like, yeah, sure. And Leela's like, wait, I'm confused. Why did he give up so easily? And she's like, well, I basically fucked up the economy and changed a 1 to a 0 and fucked up everything. And then the Doctor hits a switch, making the TARDIS veer to the right, and the chess game goes fucking tumbling, and he's like, oh no! Oh no! Oh darn.
So sorry, dear chap.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, dear chap. I did not know you were going to do this. Sorry.
Yep.
Well, that's the sun makers. They make suns. They are suns. They make suns. What do you think of this skewering of capitalism, dear?
I had it at a 6 until I remembered that they threw the dude off a roof, and like you legitimately see
They did throw the dude off the roof because in the beginning, he's up on the roof and Deer's just like push him. Ah,
because I was like, give me a good betrayal. Betray him right away. Let's go. And it doesn't happen.
It's incredibly great for Deer to like call for something kind of jokingly, but then it actually happening in the end.
Yeah. So it was at a 6, and then I remembered they actually threw him off the roof, so I put it at a 7.
Okay. A 7. The man fell a kilometer.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's dead.
Yep.
Oh. Okay. Now, the next story is all one word, but it is a portmanteau. So...
What?
A combination of 2 words to make another word.
Oh.
So... So
when I
it's
hear the
blank
word
world.
when I hear the word portmanteau, I think of like a trunk. So, blank.
You think of
world?
trunks?
Like a trunk, like a large trunk. That's what
I have no idea why you think that.
because that's what a portmanteau also means.
Oh, okay. What do you think it is? Blank world.
Number 9, a number 7.
Oh, dear's broken.
No. Is it positive or negative or a noun or like, do I get a hint?
It's a it's a preposition?
Oh, okay. Hmm. That's what?
Me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight. Can you guess?
With
Underworld.
under. Sorry.
So, dear, are you familiar with the myth of Jason and the Argonauts?
You have me absolutely interested. Hi. You said the Greek
Get ready.
mythology thing. What's up? Hi, talk to me.
Get ready for Underworld.
Is this actually going to be something you know how I feel about this. If you burn me, I will fucking come and kill you. I now know where you live now because you've moved. And I know where you live. I will come
The
for
next
you.
episode, Underworld. Get ready.
If this isn't actually about
Anything
Greek
else you wanna add,
mythology
dear?
in some way or form, I will be actually mad and rate it a 0.
I asked how familiar you were with the story. I didn't say it was literally the story.
We'll see how it goes.
We'll see indeed. Anything else you want to add, dear?
I'm leaving.
Well, dear's gone. Now it's just me. Well, I'm going to enjoy Underworld next week. It's a romp. It's a fun story to look at and experience, and I'll experience it by myself, I guess. Goodbye.